Hey there, everybody. Welcome into episode 11 of Let's Talk About. And we have a doozy today with The Legend of Heroes Trails Beyond the Horizon. Funny timing with this one coming out today, because it'll have been 1 month exactly that Beyond the Horizon launched in the US. It's been a couple years, I believe, since it launched in Japan, sometime 2024. I forget when exactly. And at this point now, the US is finally caught up with Japan for the Trail series. So whenever the next entry launches, hopefully it'll be a global slash simultaneous release, which would be incredible. I have no idea when the next game will launch, but before I go any further, I'm going to clarify this right now. There will be spoilers in this video. The title will have heavy spoilers in all caps with asterisks. The info will also mention that there will be spoilers throughout this video. So if you have not beaten Beyond the Horizon yet, click away from this video immediately. If you don't want to watch it, that's no skin off my back. I don't want to be the one to ruin someone's experience if they haven't beaten the game yet. So I'm just telling everybody right now, plenty of advance warning before I get into the meat of this video. Click away right now if you don't want to be spoiled. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, holy fucking shit, the ending. Like, pretty much the entire last, half hour of the game, once I beat the final bosses, I was just sitting there, just mouth agape at what was going on. Um, I don't even know where to start, honestly. The entire game was fantastic, it needs to be said. Best entry in the entire series, in my opinion. The only thing I can say that I kind of didn't like about it, besides, some very, very minor gripes. The stupid stealth sections, the stupid hacking minigame, and the fact that Act 1 kind of dragged for a while. It kind of took, and I know Trails games are slow burners. That's their whole thing, right? This one, Act 1 took quite a while to get going. Now, did I not enjoy that? No, I loved my whole time playing the game. I put in, I think it was 106, 108 hours into it, and I loved every second of it. But to that same end, I was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of want this to move along a little bit. But the thing is, though, the entire plot is incredibly engaging from start to finish. You are left with so many questions as you go along, and then they just keep piling up and piling up and piling up throughout each of the three routes until things come to a head, things are revealed, shit just goes batshit bonkers, and this ending tops Cold Steel 3's as far as cliffhangers go, and that one was brutal when that first launched here in the States, and we had to wait. Let me think. Cold Steel 3 was out in 2020, I think, or 2019, and then Cold Steel 4 was the year after. So, didn't have that long of a wait, thankfully, but oh my god, that ending was brutal. This one is worse. It is emotionally gut-wrenching, seeing Agnes carry the burden that her mother and grandmother did with the Autogenesis. The Grand Reset apparently is going to happen, as per the Eternal Recurrence plan from Ouroboros. That's the third phase of the Orpheus Final Plan, I believe. That's the whole all-encompassing thing there. Also, what is up with Yume? When you're watching the ending, you can see her eyes glowing before she runs all the way upstairs to Trion Tower, to where Yes and everybody is. Kincaid, Ashlad, Nina, who, by the way, Esteton Saint, that fucking came out of nowhere. Although, if you play Daybreak 1 and 2, it is hinted at plenty, and I think it is revealed in Daybreak 2 that Nina is the Esteton Saint. And you also get more backstory about that if you watch the I can't recall the title of it. It's the one of the events, remembrance crystal thingies in the Grim Garten, whatever you find that one. Memento Orb, that's what it is. Yeah, he did some backstory on that, on how she became the saint. how Pope Orestes II found her when she was, I believe, 4 years old, and then she was raised and lived at the church in Arteria until she was 14, and then made the journey to Calvard, where she's been staying ever since. And then the whole thing with her becoming an actress was not part of the plan actually for her duty, but she just wanted to be an actress and she loved it. I'm sure there's more to her story that we have not seen yet. When she came up to bail out Kevin in the picnicking front in the what was the name of that tower in Tharbad? Way out in the desert that's camouflaged there. When you're fighting off Campanella and Simeon, that was badass as hell, and I was like, again, mouth agape. This was a common trend throughout a lot of Beyond the Horizon. The fact that you get to finally play as Kevin again, in what, this has been like 10 or so games since he appeared last, since Sky the Third. Well, no, I just technically, not technically, he was in, was that Zero or Azure he showed up in? Was it both? I forget. I haven't played through Zero and Azure in quite a while, but he showed up there too. But he wasn't playable in those entries. So, yeah, the fact that he hasn't been playable since Sky the Third was a delight, and then some, because he's obviously a fan favorite, one of my favorites too, in fact. And he was also amazingly fun to play as in combat, but that's to the side there. Yeah, just all three tales, or routes, whatever you want to call them. I mean, I know they're routes, but yeah, all three routes are just incredible. I pretty much always mained Kevin, Van, and Reen. I do wish he could have had more, like, in plot time together, because the only times they ever really were together were in the Grim Garden, which was cool and all, obviously. And they had their reasons there, of course, too. They had to all stay hush-hush about what they were all up to, keep their cards close to the chest and such there. But it was like, man, I just wanted to have all of them in the same party in the real world all at once, plus another character. You see, my time going through the Garden, I would pretty much always use Van, Kevin, Reen, and usually Catcher, actually, because he has some amazing crafts for healing, CP regen, the Overshield, what was it, Morbius Code, I believe it's called, or Mobius Code. I would spam that a lot in boss fights, or later on, I would just also throw in Shizuna and just have insane DPS output. I kind of steamrolled the game for the most part. I was playing just on like easy/very easy for the field combat and turn-based combat there. I mean, the combat is also amazing, and I'm sure it's better on higher difficulties there and such, but for me, I was playing for the story, so I wanted to have an easy time with fights there and all that, and just enjoy the story for what it is, which was absolutely incredible. I could not believe what Hamilton did also. The fact that she used the Genesis to literally go 20 years in the future to pull water from there, to bring it to the present in Tharbad, to give them fresh water in the reservoir there, and thus was also branded a heretic by the church for that, because that's literally going against the ways of nature and the ways of Adios and everything. And so here goes Kevin, re-becoming the heretic hunter, as per his old title with the church, to hunt her down. She's not off the hook, I don't think. Nina even says as much during the ending. She tells Agnes first, like, I have the utmost respect for what you're doing. And then she tells Hamilton, like, yeah, you're still screwed, by the way. Like, the church is not forgiving what you've done. They cannot turn a blind eye to that. She literally broke the laws of nature and everything they know. Now, should you say it was for the greater good? She literally brought fresh water to a civilization that was in desperate need of it, and that's also how Tharbad even got its start to begin with, I believe. So, I mean, that much is, I mean, true, yeah. But again, at least in the ways of the world works, that's a big no-no. So I don't know what's going to happen with her in the next entry, because there will be a next entry. It even says at the finale there, will be concluded in Van's final adventure. Now, from what I've seen, well, in-game, it shows the doing the reset back to the just after the Great Collapse, so Septian calendar year 0. Now, are we going to be literally going all the way back to year 0 in the next game? I don't know, because from what I saw also, on Yes is only doing a reset for 1 year, so it would be going back to roughly when Daybreak 1 started. So we'd have all of our memories intact there and such of the previous events, I think, because she did a save state, essentially, of the current space-time before the reset there occurred. I don't fully know what's going to happen. No one really does besides Falcom, of course. Just theory crafting here. Yume is also sus as hell. I alluded to that a little bit ago. One thing, she was possessed by Mare, essentially, in Daybreak 1 when we went out to Lon Lai. There's been more and more hints that something's up with her as we go along throughout Daybreak 2 and Beyond the Horizon. And again, the fact that her eyes were glowing pink, I believe, as Paulette and Maxim are running up Trion Tower. I don't know if she's gonna, like, just when the next game starts, it'll just kick off right then and there, as like it'll show you what was happening at the end of Beyond the Horizon to lead into the next game. If she'll, like, yell out on Yes and she'll, like, come to her senses and stop partway through. I feel like that'll be revealed. I don't know in full about what Yume's deal is or not, or at least it'll be alluded to and partially revealed. We'll see. But also, she seems like she's not repeating the same thing that her mom and grandma did, because Gramhart, her dad, tells her that do you want to repeat the same thing your mother and grandmother did? He's like, don't worry, I'm not doing that. So I don't know, like, if they failed or how this is going to be different from what they did. But essentially, it seems like On Yes is wiping herself out from existence, because while you're watching the credits there, it's showing key scenes throughout Daybreak 1, Daybreak 2, and Horizon. But then at the very end, On Yes says, someday, sometime, this will all come back for you. And then everything, those clips you just saw, rewind. And then you see the very first time when she and Van meet outside of his office, Arkwright Solutions, she disappears. So I don't know if, like, she might actually be gone for good, at least to start. But then knowing Falcom and how they can very rarely actually fully really kill off a person. Besides a handful of people, like Rutger is fully dead, Otto is fully dead, Luve is fully dead. But for the most part, they don't keep people dead for long. So I feel like something will happen that they'll find some way to bring her back. I don't know how, but legitimately anything's possible, because now we have the vestiges in tow that also break the laws of causality in the world as we know it, because they should not even exist in the timeline as we know it right now. But here they are doing their own thing. Also, I don't know who it is, if we're supposed to know, or it will be revealed in the next game. The POV was in Kevin's group. They're in the ruins of Cray Village, and Ren patched them in so that they could actually FaceTime, essentially, with On Yes as she's about to hack the Grand Reset. You see Nadia cry, yelling at On Yes, and then you see 3 vestiges right there who were essentially guarding Hamilton as well, because she was there at the time before. Well, she's projecting herself now to Trion Tower, but physically she's at Cray Village. One of them pulls off their mask. It is a woman. She looks over at the team, most notably, at least to me it looked like, to Marielle, and she says, like, we apologize for the burden we placed on you. And it seems like Marielle knows who that is. I don't know who it's supposed to be. My initial thought is her mother, because I don't think we really know much about her parents at all. She never talks about them, I don't think. We never see them either. My other thought was maybe Ida. I don't think the hair matches, though. And it's no one else we've really seen, I don't think. So, yeah, maybe it's Marielle's mom. I don't know for sure. That'll also probably be revealed the next game, I would think. As for the other vestiges, Melchior's apparently back. He is one of them, revealed during your time in Anchorville. Giacomo is also back, the information broker who got killed very early on in Daybreak 1. I believe that was Almada that killed him. He is somehow back. Then yeah, they also brought back Alexander and Viola working for Marduk. But they essentially had dot collars on them at the time when you fight them underneath the in the special sets. They're underneath the presidential residence in Edith. Also, Kincaid being the last Grendel, or the third one. I don't think anyone's gonna see that coming. I think so many people thought that it was on Yes that was the third Grendel. I guess that the long blonde hair was the clue that a lot of people are latching onto. But yeah, I was like, what the fuck? when that happened. Also, the fact that Falcom showed that fight between the Grendel and Van in his Grendel form in like the initial launch trailer, or like even like pre-launch trailers and such, was insane. Also, those fights were cool as hell, by the way. Both the choreography, and all that outside of the actual fight and the fight itself. Excuse me. I do remember at one point the fight being a little annoying because he got like 4 or 5 turns in a row, and I think 2 of them were like back-to-back Esperates, I believe, so that was rude. Also, we got a full-on reveal and everything of the Grandmaster, which I don't think we really have yet in the series, have we? Of course, only been alluded to. You see, like, the bottom portion of her face and everything. But no, we got a full-on title reveal and everything. Also, my God, what else? There's so much to remember. Oh yeah, Novartis finally figuring out where Epstein apparently came from, because I guess what was known before is a lie. I should have thought to pull up that bit to research, as I actually watched most of the ending through again as a refresher before recording this. Excuse me. But I should have watched that too, because shit got crazy there, for one thing. I'll have to pull that up again and watch as a refresher sometime soon as well. Also, I think the video I watched for the ending as well, they were talking about how Zemuria is pretty much in its own little shell. Just there is more beyond the sky that we see. Reen and Crow did a glimpse of that even through the telescope in Basel when no one else does. And I think what they saw was tied to what was supposed to happen at the end of Cold Steel 4 when Reen actually dies. Or is that supposed to anyway? That shit was bonkers. And then, yeah, Amelia taking the Excalibur up to the sky to essentially... Oh my God, that whole scene was Xenosaga shit entirely. She's essentially piloting an Aegis unit, fighting off essentially Gnosis in space, trying to actually destroy the Septarian of space, which fiddly is in space, but that's what's controlling the Grand Reset. So there is something beyond, literally beyond the horizon, which I'm pretty sure that's where McBurn actually is legitimately from, because he's not of this world. So that's a whole thing to explore right there. Yeah, the whole trails in space thing. That whole scene was unbelievably cool. And all the fight scenes there, obviously the cutscenes and such were amazing, and the actual combat you got to do in the Excalibur was insane. Yeah, I just don't even know what's going to happen next. How the next game will start, where it'll start, when it'll start. I would love if they did the 3-route plan again with Van, Reen, and Kevin, because there's still so much left to uncover on their routes. And of course, Reen finally being able to meet Yun Ka-Fai again. And also, it was so funny. Which route was it in? I think it was with Van's routes pretty early on. Because it was when Ka-Fai was going from Edith to Tharbad to Long Light to eventually meet Reen in the mountains of Kunlun. I was just exploring around Edith. I was in the what's the the nightclub in Riverside. It has all the shows there and such, only at night. I forget the name of it. Yeah, I was in there. There was, I think, a food item to buy just because it was marked there. It was a new shop, so I wanted to make sure I bought that. And then I just looked around and I see, like, sir, hello. Tough Eyes just right there chilling, watching a stage show. And yeah, he's introduced as a like, what was it, carefree old man in Eastern garb, I believe. His informal formal title was. Um, it kind of sucks they just made him into a creepy old perv, essentially. I'm not surprised Falcom did that, but no, when Kafai is serious, he is fucking badass as hell. Like when he shows up to help Van and company beneath the hospital, when he takes out the executor, pretty much one fell swoop. And then yeah, then he shows up again in Tharabad with Kevin's group, just chilling on vacation at the hotel there. It was like, sir, what are you doing here? Although, I mean, I knew he was going to be there in Calvert anyway. And then, the final clash that he had with Reen was incredible. I'd say Reen is pretty much, I mean, I'd say he's on Shizuna's level, if not better, because he probably, I mean, he won that fight, I would say, against her initially, when they fought beneath the telescope in Basel. Although Shizuna wasn't at her full strength yet, neither was Reen. So I'm sure they'll fight again in Horizon 2 because Kafai even says at the end when Reen says, "Is this the Heaven's turn?" Right when the reset's happening, he says, "Like settle your accounts with the Black God and then find the Tachi within you before that all fades to white." So there's more to that for sure. I really thought Kevin was going to kill Hamilton at some point during his route when we found her in Cray. And he was probably going to had the messages not shown up because when he has his duty, he does not falter. He will see it through. So, yeah, I don't know if Nina's going to kill Hamilton because they're right there. Although Hamilton's protection was there. Or at least, I mean, it was in Trion Tower. I have no idea what'll happen, of course, when the next game starts. Will there all be, if they'll even be there, or like if they'll be able to somehow stop this, or if we will literally go back to where Daybreak 1 started, and it'll be like, wait, I remember like what happened later, and then like things go on a totally different tangent. Because I would think also, if Kevin is going to kill Hamilton, he's going to use Assault Arrow on her. Because when the church wants somebody dead, that's what they use for the go-to surefire way to kill somebody. And I'm sure he's already armed with those already. But yeah, this game was, I had heard so much about it, how the ending is just absolutely insanely peak. It absolutely was, and then some. Excuse me. Yeah, just so much build up to just. I mean, Trails games excel at the slow burn, the slow build up to the incredibly immense payoff, and the payoff here is the best it's ever been in the entire series. So I don't even know when we see Beyond the Horizon 2, if it would even be called as such. Because it still didn't be in this Calvert arc, I believe, so it would just make sense to call it Beyond the Horizon 2. Yeah, I don't know. Well, I did see there's a big Reddit thread just that came out today. Well, Saturday, I should say. They're all fully working on the Sky second chapter remake right now, and then they will be going full sail into Horizon 2. So I don't know if we'd see a teaser for that before the end of this year. Maybe at the shareholders meeting, a trailer would come out for that. Because you want to give Sky 2 some time to cook, obviously, first when that's out, because that'll be out in the fall. And they're also saying that like they would like to try to do a mainline game of some kind for the release, and then like a mid-tier release or a remake in the same year as well. So I would think Beyond the Horizon 2 won't be out until 2027. And that would probably be second half, I would say, or maybe early 2028. So if that's the case, only 2 years after Horizon 1, I'd be okay with that, actually. We've had worse waits before. Like, again, my god, 4 years between Sky First and Second, that was awful. Um, yeah, I would say, yeah, 20, yeah, I feel like we probably did a teaser for it at the end of the year at some point. Um, and then, yeah, it would launch, yeah, either late 27 or maybe 28. I mean, I'm really spitballing here, honestly. It could come out sooner, it could come out later. But yeah, if it came out in 27 somehow, that would be crazy. But that would mean, well, let me think. Yes, yeah, we'd see the teaser for it sometime at the end of the year, and then sometime, yeah, 2027. I would love that if that came out in 27, but I don't know for sure because I don't know how far along they are right now. Um, the post I think did say I mean they are working on it, obviously. I just forget where they actually are right now. That Reddit post did say, I believe, where they're at right now, at least at a glance. Um, and yeah, whenever we see more about that is remains to be seen. And this is also just side points here. Um, the immense payoff here for playing like every game prior is crazy. Um, and again, the fact that now the U.S. is finally caught up with Japan in the series is like, it's still crazy to even think about because we just gotten so used to being behind on them. But now, yeah, Falcom has busted their asses getting these out more and more quickly in the U.S. to be caught up. And now we're getting the remakes. Second chapter up next, and I think they do want to do at least through the Crossbell arc, so we should be getting Zero and Azure eventually, and Sky the Third as well. And then Beyond the Horizon 2, obviously. They did also say that they're not sure if the series will be going on for 5 more years or 10 more years. Because I think the next arc after Horizon 2 is going to be the final arc. Um, and I don't know where that'll take place. That can maybe be in the farther east of Zemuria, where we haven't been yet. Although it's all desert out there, but maybe we can actually find a way to restore the desert. I mean, Hamilton was trying to, for one. Yeah, maybe we go to another part of the world we haven't been to. There's still so much that we haven't covered yet. Though, granted, it's really a lot of smaller areas now that we haven't really been to. Like, we haven't been to um, Arteria, haven't really been up to Jirai in person. You were obviously there in Cold Steel 1. Northumbria, we gotta go there at some point in person. Like, come on, it's been alluded to so much. Um, Seeing the Salt Pail in person would be insane. Also, side note, the whole story with that thing is fucking crazy and creepy as hell. I even worked that into one of my stories I'm working on myself for Cold Steel 1, which is super, super cool, but that's another topic for another day. But yeah, I would love to go there, because something is up with that. It's not of this world, obviously, so that's something to do with the Septarians, for sure. Also, speaking of which, yeah, I talked about it before with the Septarian of space, how you literally cannot go beyond the sky, really. Same thing when you're on the ocean. You literally cannot go past a certain point on the ocean. You just get stopped, which is incredibly bizarre and needs to be explored more. I think somebody in the comments for the finale video I watched was saying that's due to the Septarians of wind and water, which makes sense because when you're on the seas, you have the water right there, and obviously the wind powering the ships and all that. Well, we have orbital power, but I mean the wind is still out there anyway. So yeah, that's all crazy. That needs to be that needs to be explored more. And yeah, the whole divergent laws in general, with having weapons being forged by them, like Kernviter and Onbar. There was a third sword as well that I believe. Oh, Apeiron, I believe, was the third one. Um, yeah, so Zemuria is in a shell, essentially. And what's beyond that, we have no idea, besides the little glimpses we saw in Horizon 1. There's just so many questions I have about what's coming up. I can't even wrap my head around all of them. I need to do a New Game Plus, actually. When I beat the game, I made my New Game Plus file and just saved right away after the initial dialogue there. So I will play through that again at some point. Since I have the knowledge of playing through the game once to pick up on other details there I didn't catch before. So that'll be coming up eventually. I do also want to replay through Zero and Azure. I'm way overdue for that. I've only played through those once each, so I am very overdue there. Man, this game was incredible. Like, from start to finish, it absolutely was. And then where we go from here remains to be seen at this point. What else is there? I think that'll about do it. I actually thought I would be going on longer than a half hour, which, I mean, technically I am, but even still. This game is, yeah, if you're playing through the Trail series, you will love this game whenever you get to it. If you're working through the prior ones to get to here, it's obviously a long journey getting from all those ones to here, but it is so worth it. And yeah, I can't wait to see what comes next. If On Yes is really gone for good, if we're gonna have some way to bring her back, like, yeah, with the Genesis, like, are they gonna be essentially destroyed now? Are they gonna just vanish after this happened, or are we gonna have to find them all over again? Like the Dragon Balls, essentially, where they just scatter to the winds and we have to track them all down. Like, I have no idea. Like, how will things be different from how On Yes is doing this from when her mother and grandmother did it? Or we maybe get a glimpse of what happened when they did the reset as well? Because yes, she had to the Trion Tower for the grand reset there. Because yeah, that was also the Septarian of time. Oh no, not time, of space. Sorry. That was handling the grand reset there. And it seems like it can be damaged. Because they've launched like what, 24 nukes at the thing, plus what Amelia did to it as well. And yeah, it seemed to at least initially do some damage, but the thing just came right back anyway. It said it suffered like what, 3 point something percentage of damage or something. So I mean, that clearly worked to a degree. Man, it was just, again, my mouth was agape the entire finale, honestly. And what I may even also do is just load up my file at the end of the game and just breeze through the final fights just to watch that all over again too. Even though I already did on the video, it's just not the same as when you watch it yourself, playing it yourself there. I did Theorycraft here all night, and I really would like to. It's already 9:30 for me right now, which is pretty much my bedtime. So I'm gonna wrap things up here. With that all said, guys, thank you so much for watching as always, and have a great day.